Lisha.
Teachers, parents, and friends. I am Lisha from Raffles Girls Primary School, and my research question is derived from this title, which is, can we use the BCI tool to measure students' learning effectiveness? As a student, I know that my teacher's job is never easy. Don't you think it is daunting to face a room full of lively and chaotic children, let alone getting them to focus while you are trying to teach? Teachers are helpless in the sense that they do not know when students tend to lose focus until it is too late. But what if teachers can get instantaneous feedback on a student's level of focus? Thus, the rationale of my research is to help teachers get better feedback on their lesson delivery by collecting brain signals of attention and study focus using a BCI tool. Let me explain what a BCI tool is. BCI stands for Brain-Computer Interface. It is a tool for collecting brain signals such as attention and study focus, joy, inner calm, and stress. It is used in the medical field to help people with cerebral palsy, stroke, or spinal cord injury. Now, let me explain the difference between attention and study focus, which are closely related by using a torchlight beam as an analogy. Paying attention can be like shining a broad beam of light on several objects. However, focusing on the teacher will require you to shine a narrow beam of light for an extended period of time while filtering out the rest of the distractions. It is an act of will and is a skill that can be learned and improved over time. The factors affecting focus or attention can be divided into two categories: environment and internal interference. An example of an internal interference is ADHD. This may affect the child's ability to focus in class. Under environmental factors, there are physical and psychological factors. Some physical factors may be if the classroom is too hot or too cold. Under psychological, there is 4 categories: the overall stress of the classroom, the teaching materials, the enthusiasm of the teacher, and the respect of the teacher towards the student. The focus of my research study is on these teaching materials. I will now share with you my research design. My research design consists of 4 dimensions. Firstly, I invited 7 P4GP girls to be my human subjects. Secondly, the brain signals collected were attention and study focus. Thirdly, my lesson plan was carefully designed to include a multimodal delivery approach consisting of auditory, visual, and kinesthetic segments to test how students react to these different stimuli. Next, there was a segment on proximal zone. Proximal zone is a sweet spot where subject matter is within the student's level of understanding. Lastly, there was a break in between. This break served as a test of free play. As my 4th dimension, I conducted a survey. This survey had a main intention to find out the ranking of interest for each of these segments. This is my lesson plan. Under the science lesson, there was an auditory segment. In this auditory segment, I conducted a recap on water. Next, under the visual segment, I showed a video on 10 amazing tricks using liquid. These are some experiments from the visual segment, which I showed the video. Next, there was a kinesthetic segment. In this segment, I conducted some experiments related to water with the human subjects. These were some experiments which I conducted. After the science lesson, there was a 5-minute break. After that, there was a math lesson. In the math lesson, there was a testing of linear functions. This topic was studied in P4, and this topic was within the proximal zone. Next, there was a testing of quadratic functions. This topic was beyond the students' current ability and was outside of their proximal zone. These are my results. These brain signals belong to subject 2, indicating her attention levels. In the science and math lesson, her attention levels were generally high. However, in the break segment, her attention levels were generally low. Please note that each individual will show attention and study focus levels as they react differently to the same stimuli driven by their individual preferences. These brain signals belong to subject 2, indicating her study focus. It is interesting to note that there is a few high peaks in this chart. These high peaks can be seen at the start of the video, in the middle of the video showing an experiment related to glycerine, in the experiment with the red water and straw, as well as in the ice cube experiment. During the last segment, the study focus peaked when the student was asked to solve the quadratic functions. This could be due to the students having to think very hard in order to solve this difficult equation. We will now study the correlation of study focus signals and the ranking of interest. This first chart shows the survey results for the ranking of interest for each of the segments. The video and experiment ranked the top 2. However, the quadratic functions ranked the last. These are the average brain signals for study focus. It is interesting to note that there is a strong correlation between the interest levels and the study focus, as the high study focus matched the high interest levels for the video and experiment, whereas the low interest level for the quadratic functions resulted in low study focus. This may imply that visual and kinesthetics are good methods for effective learning, while setting lessons beyond students' proximal zone may cause them to lose focus quickly. We will now examine the relationship between attention and study focus. This first chart shows the average brain signals for attention. The attention levels are all high for the video, experiment, and quadratic functions. But does this alone indicate the student's ability to comprehend? The answer is no, because when we compare it with the average brain signals for study focus, the high attention strongly correlates to the study focus levels, which also correlate to their interest levels. However, in the quadratic functions, the high attention level does not imply that students are able to comprehend subject matter because study focus is low. From these charts, we may conclude that attention level alone does not imply that students are learning effectively. Study focus is another key indicator. These are my conclusions. Firstly, study focus and attention go hand in hand. Getting hold of students' attention alone is insufficient to ensure effective learning. Keeping study focus equally high is extremely essential. Secondly, the BCI tool can be an effective tool as it has the ability to measure attention and study focus signals, which are key indicators of learning effectiveness. Lastly, as a future innovation, the BCI tool could potentially provide real-time feedback to teachers on learning effectiveness for individual students. These are some of my limitations of my experiment. As I had a limited number of human subjects, my results cannot be concluded as statistically robust enough. Secondly, it would have been more ideal to conduct a simultaneous testing of all the human subjects, but I had to test my human subjects one by one since I had only one set of the BCI tool. Thirdly, a more complex topic could have been chosen in replace of the quadratic functions to measure the greater effect of the reduced study focus. Lastly, the most ideal experimental setting is to have a classroom setup. However, the actual experiment was done in my home. These are my references. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisha. May we now invite the judges to start off the Q&A session.
Hello, Lisha. Thank you for a very interesting inquiry. I'm very interested in knowing how you went from having an interest in effectiveness of learning to deciding and realizing that you had to determine what were relevant constructs like attention and study focus. How did you arrive at that?
I did a literature study, so there were some other factors affecting learning effectiveness, such as stress or how a teacher would treat you in class. However, study focus and attention signals were the main key ingredients for learning effectiveness.
So you determined that from your literature review.
Yes.
And was that something that you learned mainly in this project? Were you aware that literature review is usually important, or is that something you learned?
Yes. I think it is important, as this literature study is the basis of my experiment. And before conducting my experiment, I should do like a survey on all the reviews and do an online research.
Thank you.
Just wondering also, did you buy the BCI set, or was it?
I got it online for around $100.
So it's something that you actually found out about and you asked your parents to buy for you to conduct this experiment.
I came up with an idea to improve teaching, but at the same time I knew about this BCI tool from my brother's past project, so I decided to combine the two concepts together.
Thank you.
We will now open the Q&A session to the audience. Does anyone have any questions?
Hi, I'm Chin Wai Ting from Boy Grace, St. Thomas Primary School. I just also had another question, because you need to coordinate the teachers and the students together when the whole lesson's in progress, because you don't know when the teacher will look down at the phone or the device and see the progress, and then maybe the students will also lose study focus because the teachers not at attention with the lesson, but at the phone, and the study focus will go relatively low.
In my experiment, I did not consider this limitation. However, my experiment was based on the teaching material, so I did not touch up on that part.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Thank you, Lisha.